Now let's talk about the planning phase of that cycle that we're going through. And we're going to start on the planning phase. And remember, we're not talking about big upfront plans or designs. We're talking about planning in the small so we can get these really fast loops and iterations. And again, best seen right through a demo. So Colin, over to you for that demo.
Thank you, Steve. So here I've opened up the backlog at the stories level, and instead of showing the backlog list, I've switched over to the board. And right from the board here, if you've done any kind of Scrum, you'll probably notice the sticky boards in the back of the offices. And here is this virtual board, and these stickies here represent the work that's in our backlog currently. So let's add a new item. I can do that straight from the board, and we'd be able to enter a title here. Now, I haven't actually shown you what work we're planning to do. So
that's probably a good thing to see too.
So let's switch over to our website. So this is a website that's available on GitHub. The source code is there. There's a bunch of labs that you can run through as well. So this is Parts Unlimited, which comes out of the book by Gene Kim
Yes,
and
the Phoenix Project.
Yes, the Phoenix Project. So the company in the Phoenix Project is Parts Unlimited. And so here's an example of what their website could have looked like. And you can see, if I go back to the first banner here, that the discount is 25%. So our business has decided they're losing a lot of money through this because this was a Christmas promotion. It's now no longer Christmas, and so a requirement has come through to change that discount. Now, this is a little bit contrived. It's a very simple example to go through. But the reason we've chosen it is because this is not a coding demo, but we want to show you how you would plan for a code change and get it through this pipeline. So we've chosen something that's very simple and innocuous because we're not focusing on the code, but we want to show the whole DevOps process. Just before I move on, you'll see that the URL says pudemo-dev.azurewebsites.net. So this is hosted on Azure, of course. We don't want to host our websites in IaaS, right?
Yes.
We want to get into the cloud and do cloud development. So this website is on Azure. Now the dev is a staging slot called dev, where we can actually deploy our code to and mess around with that code without actually letting it be on our production site, right? I actually have two slots. So here's the staging slot. And you can see that the discount is also 25% in the staging slot. And finally, here is the production slot, and you'll see that there is no suffix to the name of the website in the production slot. So this is our production site, and hopefully we'll get all the way to the production slot eventually.
I have to jump in with just something really brief. You just showed dev, staging, production slots. This is all running on identical hardware in the cloud. So in other words, this is not some cruddy little dev site somewhere. This is very realistic, close to production.
Right.
And better yet, I can switch dev and production. If I have something in dev or production that I like, I can make a flip and put something from staging into prod or from dev into staging instantly.
Right.
And these are some of the features you get when you're on the app service. I know this is the DevOps section, but there's such cool stuff that you get. Okay, back over to you.
Thank you. So let's go back to our board and add a new work item to change discount. Steve, what should the discount be?
Probably 15%. We still want a good discount, but let's not go overboard.
Great. Change discount, and I'll add a 2 there to 15%. So just like that, we've created a work item. I can then go and assign that out and put some description into it and really flesh that out to the level that our team needs and that our team works at. What I am going to do is I'm going to move it to in-flight. I'll put it on the expedite swim lane in our board, so we can create swim lanes in the board that we can mark for different kinds of work, like expedited work.
Sure.
And from that point on, I want to go over to the testing hub. So the testing hub allows us to actually plan. We're still talking about planning. Plan some of the tests we want to run for this work item. So I'm going to click on this iteration 3 plan here, and I'm going to add a new requirements-based suite, and this is going to launch a query dialog that's going to ask me to select one of my requirements. Now, for this particular project, our requirements are in stories. So let's go and find the 15% discount work item, and there it is right at the bottom, and I'll create a suite. So that creates a folder that's linked to the requirement.
I love this because now when we're looking at the requirement, we can see by requirement how tested that requirement is and what level of confidence I'm going to have when we push that thing off to production.
Exactly. So let me add an existing test case. We can, of course, add new tests. And I'm going to grab a couple of test cases that maybe exist in my system already, but I could, of course, add new test cases in here. Now, if we double-click one of these test cases, you'll see that this test case in the links side here tests a number of stories, right? And so if we go to our 15% discount story, you can see it's tested by, and there are the 3 test cases that we've put into the test suite. So just like that, we've added in the linkage between our requirement and our test cases. The other thing I wanted to quickly show, let me close these, is I'm going to cheat and just set the status of these tests, just so I can show you what it looks like. So I'll mark one as passed, one as failed, and one as blocked. All right, so the testers have been testing this feature, and this is at some point along the line during our work, we get this sort of state of the tests. So I'm going to go over to charts quickly. So this is the state of the tests at some point along our work, and I'm going to quickly show you how to throw up a chart so that we can track the status of the testing efforts. So I'll do a new test result chart, and we'll group it by outcome and hit OK. And now we have a chart that shows us exactly what the testing for this requirement is.
But that's kind of not where I'd want it to be. Is there any way that I can see that as a project manager?
I am so glad you asked that, Steve. So yes, of course, here on the settings, I can add it to the dashboard, and I'm going to put it onto the executive's dashboard because the execs have asked to see the testing effort for this particular work item, which is near and dear to their hearts. So if we go back to the dashboards and look at the exec dashboard, there's our testing status widget right there on that exec dashboard.
Beautiful. I noticed when you clicked on it, it brought you right back to that dashboard, however.
Absolutely.
Excellent. That is an amazing walkthrough, and we've seen just some of the capabilities about planning the work and getting ready to get the work done. Next up, some development and test work.